Hello. Hi, Indigos, starseeds, earth angels. I thought I would come on and talk a little bit about mind trashing, something that I've been experiencing a lot recently, and I think I'm going to do a quick 5 minutes just trying to explain what it is, because I have a much longer video that goes on and on about what you can experience about it. So mind trashing is a term that I've used to describe when somebody has a lot of repetitive toxic thoughts in their head and they decide to sort of tip it all over your head and make it your problem instead of their problem. So it is a very serious thing. It's based on abuse, and it comes from people who are abusing themselves inside, but actually then they project that relationship outside of themselves onto other people. So it is a form of abuse, and it's a really good thing for indigos, starseeds and earth angels to be aware of, so that one, they don't do it themselves on other people and create harm and perpetuate the third dimensional reality, and two, that they don't receive it, which does them harm and creates disturbance in our energy fields, takes us out of the heart energy back into the head. So the reason this is important, and it's important to recognize it at this time, is because mind trashing is actually one of the things that's going to keep us using a lot of excess energy and keeping us in the head and out of the heart. So I want to give you an example of what mind trashing is. So, for example, there's a lot of people that dislike their bodies around, and there's, anyone that's moving into the heart is trying to move into self-love, body positivity, to move out of the head and like negative framing of ourselves and our lives. So one thing someone does, for example, so they don't like their knees. This is just a crazy example, but it happens. They don't like their knees. So people don't like their knees, keep thinking about, I don't like my knees, and they do like this. They hate their knees, and they cover up their knees, and they do everything they can. They're basically shaming their knees. They're shaming themselves, and it's a way of disassociating from themselves and putting that part of them as other, as that they can't accept it for how it is, and it becomes an obsessional thought. So there are sadly a lot of females that fall into this pattern about an aspect of themselves. But where this becomes a real problem, obviously it's a toxic relationship within themselves, because they're not allowing themselves to accept and love that part of themselves and move towards wholeness. So where this becomes a problem for other people is when they're using those repetitive toxic thinking and they empty it on someone else. So for example, someone who hates their knees might then be looking at everybody else's knees and grading them out of 10. So there'd be some people's knees they love, some people's knees they hate, and they're always like comparing themselves to those people in their minds, like that person's got better knees than me, that person doesn't have better knees. So this becomes like there's nothing creative or beautiful or loving about the whole process. It's actually a destructive cycle that goes on internally, and it's a negative mind pattern based on fear. So what happens is they then see someone's knees that maybe are worse than theirs, and they go, don't like you in that dress, or I don't like your knees, or even worse, they give you a compliment about your knees and don't really mean it. So I had that the other day about another part of my body, and someone was offering me a compliment. I think it was, have you lost weight? But actually, the way they did it wasn't a compliment. It was something that they obviously didn't like that part of me, and it was coming from a person who perhaps was obsessed with that part of themselves, and then they were dumping it on me. So then I was becoming conscious of something, and I had to really work hard with self-love and loving that part of myself again. So it is actually a reminder for us to love ourselves. But when it goes on, it begins a slow erosion of the self out of self-confidence and the heart, which is all loving and all accepting, into the mind, which is based on a fear programming. So we are trying to move out of these programs where, a lot of indigos, earth angels, starseeds are here to clean up these programs, get rid of them. We don't need them anymore. So anybody who's perpetuating that cycle and mind trashing, I would really recommend that you call them out on it, ignore them, walk away and love yourself as much as possible, because a lot of this mind trashing is going to be going on as we move and quicker into the 3D. You're going to be out of the 3D and into the 5D. You're going to be noticing people mind trashing more because it's going to become more obvious. is less hidden, less concealed, and things are more up for being able to be worked on actually in the visible. But you're gonna be not only sensing it, you're going to be validating that you were experiencing a form of attack on yourself actually from this process of mind trashing, and you're going to be able to notice it more astutely, and be able to deal with it also in a quicker way, so that it's not going in and embedding you into a cycle of self-hate. Okay, I hope that was clear. It's sort of a bit rushed. There's a blog on this and another video on the YouTube channel, but there's a blog on my website as well talking about mind trashing and toxic thoughts and projection of toxic thoughts. So if you want to look after yourself, which I hope you do, because we're all moving into the heart, please look after yourselves. Okay, thank you for listening. If you like what I do, subscribe to my channel. Okay, bye.